Hello, my mathematicians. Today we are looking at Module 3, Lesson 2, which is all about interpreting the remainder. Hopefully by the end of this lesson, you will be able to solve a division problem and interpret the remainder in context of the problem. So we're going to start with Step It Out, and this is on page 59 of your book. So it says, a land surveyor rolls a wheeled device on the ground to measure distances. Each full turn of the wheel measures 14 inches. The surveyor measures 1,617 inches of land. How many turns of the wheel are needed to measure this distance? So then it says to use division to represent the situation. So our division problem is going to be 1,617 divided by 14. So then it says to divide and write the whole number quotient and the remainder. So I'm going to come over to the side and I'm going to set up my division problem. So I'm going to have 1,617 divided by 14. So I asked myself, does 14 go into 1? No, 1 is smaller than 14, so that doesn't work. Does 14 go into 16? Yes, one time. I'm going to put a 1 above the 16. Then I'm going to multiply. 1 times 14 equals 14. So I'm going to put that below the 16. And then I'm going to subtract. 16 minus 14 equals 2. 2 is less than 14. So I'm good to go. I'm going to bring down the 1. So now I need to see how many times 14 goes into that 21. So 14 goes into 21 one time. 1 times 14 is 14. I'm going to subtract. I can't do 1 minus 4, so I'm going to borrow. So 11 minus 4 is 7. And then I'm going to bring down my 7. So now I need to see how many times 14 goes into 77. Well, we have 14. If we add 14 to that, we get 28. Plus 14 is 42. Plus 14 is 56. Plus 14 is going to be 70. So if I do it again, plus 14, it's going to give me 84. So that's too many. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So I'm going to put a 5 up top. And my 7th time, I got 70. So I'm going to subtract 70. 77 minus 70 is 7. So my whole number is 115 with a remainder of 7. So the remainder indicates the number of turns of the wheel. The remainder indicates that the number of turns of the wheel is not a whole number. Use the remainder to find the fractional part of the last turn. Well, it tells us how to do this. So we write our remainder as the numerator. So our remainder is 7. And then our divisor, which we were dividing by 14. So 14 is our divisor. And we're writing that as the denominator. So we get 7/14. So what fraction of the turn is represented by the remainder? Well, that would be 7/14. So then it says, write the answer of the whole number of turns as a fractional part of a turn. So how many turns of the wheel are needed to measure 1,617 inches? The answer would be 115 and 7/14. 14ths inches. And just to make a note, 7/14 does simplify to 1/2. So it'd be 115.5 inches. So now we're going to go to the next page. So yeah, it says step it out. A large plot of farmland will be used for a new field. The seed that the farmers will plant on this field is sold in large tanks. Each tank can cover 72 acres with seed. How many tanks are needed to cover the entire field with seed? Represent the situation using a division problem. Identify the dividend and the divisor. So if we're looking, we see that we are going to be dividing 1,140 by 72. And we know this because it tells us in the picture that the field size is 1,140 and each tank covers 72 acres. So that's why we're dividing by 72. So then to identify the dividend is the number that we are dividing. So the dividend equals 1,140. The divisor is the number that we are dividing by. And in this case, it is 72. So now we are doing our division. So I'm coming over here. I'm asking myself, does 72 go into 1? No. With 0 here so that I know I check that if I want. 72 go into 11? No. Does 72 go into 114? Yes. How many times? Well, if I do 72 times 1, it gives me 72. 72 times 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 7 is 14, so 144, that's too big. So it's going to be 1 time. 1 times 72 is 72. We subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2. 1 minus 7 we can't do, so we borrow. So 11 minus 7 is 4. And then we bring down our 0. So we know it's going to go in at least 2 times. We can keep going. So 72 times 3, 6, 216. 72 times 4 is going to be 288. 72 times 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 35, 36, 360. And then 72 times 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 7 is 42 plus 1 is 43. So that is going to be too big. So we're going to subtract we're going to put our 5 up top first, and then 5 times 72 is 360. Subtract 0 minus 0 is 0. 2 minus 6 we can't do, so 4 becomes a 3. 12 minus 6 is 60. So we're going to have 15 with a remainder of 60. So then we come over here and it says, the seed is sold only in full tanks. How many tanks must be purchased to cover the entire field? Well, we need 15 full tanks, but we still have a remainder of 60. So that means we are going to need 60. Or not 60, sorry. 6 is the remainder. 16 tanks. Because 15 full plus the remainder. Then Then it says, how many acres will the seed from the last tank cover? And that will be the 60 acres. Okay, so that is our lesson on interpreting the remainder. I hope that you can now solve a division problem and interpret the remainder in the context of the problem. Remember that to be a math person, all you need is to be a person and do math.